If you follow this channel very much, you know that we have told you when Disney has done good things and when Disney has done bad things. Today, we unfortunately have to report on something that I believe to be the worst thing I have ever heard that the Walt Disney Company has done. In fact, it's one of the worst things that I've ever heard of any company doing. Folks, tune in, get ready. You decide, is this the worst you've ever heard of? Ladies and gentlemen, a quick PSA before we get started. Don't forget to tune in later today to see Mexican Iron Man's son, Mexican Iron Kid, with his big YouTube debut right here on the Pro Channel. Hello folks, how are you? We are happy to have you here on the Pro Channel. Usually we say something like happy day or we're coming to you live from a somewhere sunny USA studio, but today we got to talk about something that is disastrously bad for Disney in a way that it just doesn't feel appropriate to open up that way. Steve is bringing as much smiles and happiness as he can, but it's a very dire kind of conversation we need to have, Steve. On that note, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Just tired from being really busy on multiple fronts, but surviving. So,
well, and for folks who don't know, Steve is the puppeteer behind so much of what goes on with Floral from Under the Rock. And that channel is rocking. If you're not yet subscribed, go over there and have a good time. He is the mind, the genius behind the battle ongoing between Wilton and Jonas, and may it continue ever more. All right, folks, let's take a look at this. I told you this is a bad one, and it is. The response that Disney is doing with this just might land in the evil category, and we don't use that very often. I mean, when we talk about the changes that Disney's making with their movies or their theme parks, or, when they're making certain bad economic decisions, those are just, what would you say? Those are just incompetent. They're just mismanaged. This is a whole new level, and we don't normally cover things that are this awful, but we hope that Disney doesn't often do things this awful. Let's read it, and then, folks, you decide on your own how bad this sounds to you. Out of People magazine, which is no longer a magazine, it's just people.com. This is by Vanessa Etienne, I think. And it says, Disney World seeks to dismiss doctor's wrongful death lawsuit because he subscribed to Disney Plus for a month in 2019. This, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that human Sentai pad episode from South Park where you signed your life away secretly in the iPad terms of agreement. This is craziness.
Hold up, here it is right here. By clicking agree, you are also acknowledging that Apple may sew your mouth to the butthole of another iTunes user.
Jeffrey Piccolo's wife suffered a fatal allergic reaction after dining at a Disney Springs restaurant and is suing the company. Now, the allegation is that the restaurant knew about the allergy and that it was severe, and they still served whatever she was allergic to, and thus ended her life. And, okay. So Steve, but go ahead.
Because could you scroll back up?
Yes, absolutely.
The headline there, that I just would like to see some clarification, because this is actually worse than I thought it was. In that
it's as bad as I think you can get. This is this is evil.
They subscribed for 1 month when.
It's worse, Steve.
Maybe within, because November is when Disney Plus launched in 2019, and correct, or is it 2018?
Sounds like they subscribed for a month at the launch,
and then bailed. And
what it sounds like.
And when
I think it's actually worse, Steve. I think it's worse.
When was her death?
Let me read the article, because you're right, and yes, it is much worse. Get ready for this one. It's hard to believe this. I mean, this is hard to believe. Disney is firing back at a wrongful death lawsuit, hoping to get it dismissed because of the terms and conditions the plaintiff agreed to when signing up for the Disney Plus streaming service. That's right, folks. Apparently, Disney can kill you, and if you've got the Disney Plus agreement, well, there's nothing your family can do about it after they murder you. That's just legal theory on my part, but in February, Jeffrey Piccolo filed the $50,000 lawsuit against Disney after his wife, Dr. Kanakporn Tangswan, a physician of NYU Hospital, and by the way, folks, apologies on the pronunciations if I've got it wrong, died last year. Court documents claim that she suffered a fatal allergic reaction after eating at a Disney Springs restaurant. However, a new legal filing from Disney claims that the lawsuit should be dismissed because she signed up for a 1-month trial of Disney Plus back in 2019, and the contract requires users to arbitrate all disputes with the company. Now, Steve, they're not claiming that this person didn't die. They're not claiming that they were not served food that would kill them. They're not claiming, apparently, that they didn't know about this stuff. They're claiming that because they signed a 1-month, and I believe, now I don't see it here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh, look down here, Steve. Here it is. This is where I was going to tell you it's so bad. Look at this. The lawyers for this family who had this death says the notion that terms agreed to by a consumer when creating a Disney Plus free trial account.
I'm going to click on decline.
Would forever bar that consumer's right to a jury trial in any dispute with any Disney affiliate or subsidiary is so outrageously unreasonable and unfair as to shock the judicial conscience, and this court should enforce such an agreement, the lawyer said. In other words, the claim is that Disney killed a woman or that they're liable for her death, but because there was a trial account of Disney Plus 4 or 5 years ago, Steve, Disney's off the hook, Steve.
A trial for a month.
Steve, this is the worst thing I've ever heard of from Disney. And I've heard of horrible things. A woman is dead, and they're not disputing it. They're just saying, you signed up for Disney Plus, so you get nothing. Steve, can you help us understand how this is not evil, please? How is this not evil? And how is it that Bob Iger should not go to bed believing that his company and he himself is evil? Because I would think that if I were the CEO of a company and I found out, hey, we may have killed somebody or been a part of their death, and we're not going to defend ourselves on that ground. We're going to defend ourselves because, oh, well, you signed up for a Disney Plus account. Oh, I'm sorry. Once upon a time, you watched ESPN for 5 minutes. Therefore, you don't get any relief for having died as a result of our actions.
So, because, well, I mean, this obviously brings in a lot of factors. Because when, I mean, like,
this is awful.
The fact that the investors are still doing what they're doing and even remotely supporting Disney, even though their stock is obviously down, like, there should be a giant drop with this, because this is just sheer lunacy. But at the same time, I'm like this is 1 month, and one of the questions that Punkwaddle had, who's one of my partners,
associates, let's say,
crime, associate. He said, "What if you get your subscription for free?" That was his question. Well, and I think he was more thinking like if you got it like through AT&T or whatever. Obviously, that would apply, like they're taking all of this and they're just saying pretty much if you watched it, you have agreed to the terms and conditions.
Steve, if you have signed up for Disney Plus, we can drop a Mickey Mouse bomb on you and there's nothing you can do about it. It gets worse though, Steve. What if it's not even your Disney Plus trial 1 month account? Apparently that's sufficient. Let's take a look at this again from People. The lawyers also argue that the doctor who passed away agreed to those terms and conditions. Excuse me, the husband of the wife who was killed, that he agreed to those terms and conditions on behalf of himself and not on behalf of his wife or her estate when he clicked agree and continue on the Disney Plus registration page. In other words, as bad as this was, it was already evil. It's not even her Disney Plus account. This is lunacy. Number one, if she did have a Disney Plus account and if they did kill her, I'm sorry, that's not a sufficient defense, Disney. But number two, he didn't even have a Disney Plus account. It's his. This is idiocy. And I don't understand, Steve. Help me understand, please. If you're Disney and you made a horrible mistake and you're a giant global corporation and you made a horrible, somewhere made a horrible mistake that in some way may have led to the death of someone. would you not just settle? Would you not just say, you know what? Can we cover the costs of the funeral and the descendants, and can we maybe set up a grant or a fund or a charity of some kind? Is there some charity we can give to on behalf of your wife? We are eternally sorry that this has happened. So instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, you had a Disney Plus account."
So I'm wondering pragmatically, is this one of those things where they're looking at it and they say, if we pay out, I mean, Disney Plus, we already all know is in the hole.
If we pay out, we'll have to pay if other people die at our restaurants.
But the thing is, though, Disney Plus is already in the hole. So because this is a Disney Plus agreement, would it be Disney Plus that has to shell out for not just this agreement now, but whatever other agreements that they've tried to? Because if they're trying it on this, they've tried it on other things and probably been relatively successful. There's no way that they're just doing a shot in the dark on a wrongful death. I mean, maybe they are.
You want it to get worse, Steve? Are you ready for it to get worse?
Okay, so you're gonna answer my applause.
Let's make it get worse. This is from CNN. Jordan Valinsky. These are real, folks. These are not out of The Onion. These are not out of the Babylon Bee. These are real. These are real. Jordan Valinsky. Disney wants wrongful death suit thrown out because widower. Not only did he have Disney Plus for a trial account for 1 month back in 2019, which apparently absolves Disney of killing people, he bought an Epcot ticket. So if you buy an Epcot ticket and you die, well, sorry. A man suing Walt Disney Parks and Resorts for the wrongful death of his wife is facing a new legal hurdle. Disney is trying to get thrown out of court and sent to arbitration because he signed up for a Disney Plus account years earlier. Court documents show the company is trying to get the $50,000 lawsuit tossed. Now, we already knew about this, but take a look here. This is the extra edition that CNN has. Company lawyers for Disney, this evil, awful, terrible company, somebody somewhere before this made it to the press should have said, no, we are not going to die on this hill. We are not going to be in the press because we refuse to pay money. $50,000 is the lawsuit. $50,000. That is a drop in the bucket to Disney. A drop in the bucket to Disney. Somebody, somewhere in the chain of command should have said, you know what? We don't need this one. We don't need this one. Company lawyers also claim that because the lady who passed away, the doctor, used the Walt Disney Parks website to buy Epcot Center tickets, Disney is shielded from a lawsuit because, or due to the reaction of severe food allergies, because they used the Disney website to buy the Epcot tickets, Steve. So because also, there's two reasons.
Agreement or whatever.
So if you sign an agreement, if you go to Disney's website and buy your tickets, folks, and they kill you, stands to reason that this was their response to this family. Why would it not be their response to another family? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. We might be talking. By the way, we might be bringing Ron Coleman on real soon. We scheduled for this, but I think he's so flabbergasted at this one, he might need a day or two to wrap his head around this story. It's unbelievable, Steve.
Well, it is. Sorry, I'm trying to catch my thought up here. Okay, so when you sign up, because I'm thinking when I went to Canada's Wonderland, right? You have to sign basically saying like if you die, like you can't sue, right? Like there is that.
Right.
But from what I understand, there's still there's limitations to all of these contracts. That's always been the case wherever you go. So how is I just don't understand how they can even logically make this jump. Like that's to me
right.
Like take out the morality, because we know that Disney is completely immoral in general, right? Like they don't care about morality, they don't care about truth, they don't care about reality.
No, Steve, Disney is all about magic and joy and happiness and family, making memories. They love you, Steve.
But we know that they're money scoundrels. But there's what are the legal obviously this won't be criminal, I don't think, until maybe it comes to this. Could this be, again, this is me just asking questions because I don't know, right? In the way that they're trying to handle this, this is it's not just negligence. It feels like it's criminal negligence. Like, we know we did something wrong, and now we're trying to cover it up.
Well, let me give you Disney's response, and we'll see what you think about this. So here's what Disney says about the situation, in all fairness. While Disney Parks and Resorts is explicitly seeking to bar its 150 million Disney Plus subscribers from ever prosecuting a wrongful death case against it in front of a jury, even if the case facts have nothing to do with Disney Plus, that's what the attorney for the doctor's family has to say. $50,000 is the lawsuit. Again, $50,000. Very tiny in comparison to everything else. And I would suspect, although I do not know, that this is one of a number of lawsuits. $50,000, though, again, very small in a wrongful death sort of situation. The response from Disney is this:
they're literally just asking for you to cover the funeral costs, essentially. Like, you're paying for the plot, you're paying for the funeral, like, and maybe just like childcare for the next year, right? There's not.
So the Disney response is this: we are deeply saddened by the family's loss and understand their grief. Given that this restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney's attempt to include us in their lawsuit against the restaurant. Now, I don't know the particulars of this, Steve. I know that at Disney Springs, often the restaurants are owned and operated by companies that are not Disney, and then they pay a lease to Disney to have that space at Disney Springs. Now, I don't know why the attorneys for this family are including Disney in the lawsuit, but I can tell you, Steve, that the way to get out of this for Disney would be something along this line. We don't own or operate the restaurant, therefore we're not culpable for this. Good luck with your lawsuit with the company that owns it, whatever that company is. I can tell you the wrong answer, Steve, is to say, oh, I'm sorry, you signed up with a Disney Plus account, therefore, a 1-month trial, therefore. So but they can get out the public statement all they want. The legal argument they're giving is garbage. Go ahead, Steve.
Who staffs the restaurant?
Well, because we don't know the restaurant.
Because I mean, you've been to Disney, I haven't. So, like,
so in a third-party restaurant, all the staff is hired by the third-party company that runs it. So, for example,
so they're not.
This is not, I believe, the restaurant, but Rainforest Cafe and T-Rex Cafe. They're run by a company called Landry's, and Landry's is in control of all of the operations there. Essentially, they just lease the space from Disney because it's a giant outdoor retail pedestrian mall kind of thing.
Okay. Because, like, no, again, I'm not trying to be heartless. I mean, because I do care. But if it's not their response, terrible. But if it's not their restaurant, right? I will, because I want to operate.
So Steve, you're asking the right question. But the answer, I think, is why would Disney not just say that
it's not a restaurant? Yes, no, and that's what I'm agreeing with.
In the legal filing, the response should be not us,
because it's just weird, right? Like as
opposed to
spokespeople.
Yes,
like, this just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you? Anyway, it's because even if it's not nefarious on their end, they look very nefarious in a time where they can't afford to look nefarious. Because if this, I can almost guarantee, based on from everything that I'm hearing about Universal or Legoland or Dollywood, if something like this happened in one of those places, even if it wasn't their responsibility, they would have at least done something to offset.
Here's a question for you, Steve. Here's a question. Is it worth $50,000 to not have this headline?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you think that would you be again in a time where Disney is being hammered. They're being hammered by lawsuits.
You know what Disney could have done? They could have said, "You know what? We can't pay the 50. We'll pay you $30,000. Give it to whatever charity you want. We're so sorry this happened to you. It's not our restaurant, but you know what? We're Disney. We love our families. This is so sad, and we are all on board with taking care of your family. Here's $30,000. Yeah. Let's not have headlines like this all over the internet.
Or even 10. Like, offer 10.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like literally the funeral cost in of itself.
But instead, it's like, oh well, you know, back in 1997, you scrolled on an ESPN website for about 3 minutes. We own it now, so that's good enough. You can't sue us. Haha.
Yeah, like
that, Disney.
It's just sketchy enough that it doesn't make sense. And again, at a time when they cannot afford this kind of press. And
Steve, can I do a very strange segue?
Yeah.
can we get out of this awful mode that we're in because of Disney? And let me make a terrible segue, folks, with a terrible joke. You know what else is sketchy, Steve?
Yeah.
Wilton. And you're the man behind Wilton. Tell the folks out there about your channel and where they can find you and how they can lift their day up after such an awful, terrible story we've just covered. Tell the folks out there where they can find a little ray of sunshine.
Yeah. So right now we just released publicly the song Modern Tolkien Connoisseur, and because Wilton is going to be watching Rings of Power, and kind of in the way that some other guys on YouTube will watch.
This is the first time I think I've ever felt sorry for Wilton.
Right. And I feel sorry for Wilton too. More myself. And the fact that, it's almost guaranteed to be a dumpster fire. No, at the same time, maybe they learned a lesson or two. We'll find out. But anyway, the song is a lot of fun. Jonas gave some pointed critiques, and I tried to honor some of those as best I could, because I do love and respect Jonas tremendously. Just so everyone knows, I actually do love Jonas from the heart of my bottom. I absolutely mean that. And
it's good that somebody does. It's good that someone in this world does.
But anyway, so you can check us out, Floor from Under a Rock, and also I do Church Under a Rock, and so on Sunday nights, that's what I'm doing at 9 p.m. Eastern. Floor from Under a Rock is also 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to learn about the Bible, you can go to Church Under a Rock. You want to just hang out with silly puppets and goof off and have fun, Floral from Under a Rock. Otherwise, I'm popping up in random places doing commercials for you guys and others. So there you go.
There you go, folks. All right, on your way out, help us send this out to everyone you know, because, well, this is the kind of story they should be seeing and understanding about the Disney company. And Disney, if you have any kind of counter narrative to this, if you think that we have not projected your company well in terms of its overall response, we would love to hear from you. Please share with us what you mean to be doing here, and we'll be happy to put out your side of the story as best we can. We try to do so by reading those on the websites. We simply just don't understand how this is in any way a competent, moral, ethical reaction from a corporation such as yours. But hey, you're welcome to come on the channel, Disney, whoever you've got. All right, folks, share it out. Put it on your favorite social media accounts. Subscribe. And you know what? Drop a comment right down on below. Dive into a community dialogue. We'd love to have you. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep.
All right, Bob, we need to make sure we got all your legal strategies figured out.
Well, Mr. Lawyer, I'm thinking this is probably a good idea considering everything we've been up to at the company.
First, we need to make sure that you understand that anything and everything you say will likely be used against you.
That should work. Our investors have been totally ignorant and willing to throw us money regardless of what we do with it anyway. They totally have cause to sue us for negligence and wasting money, but, they're pretty dumb.
Oh, they probably live in Florida. And Texas.